Hi curious people! Today we're going to dive into the brand Sigma. They are the name in the brush game, but are these Sigma brushes actually worth it? So let's dive into this popular brand's background and talk about some must-haves and must-nots, and what about their bestseller face brushes and eye brushes. So Sigma was founded by a powerhouse couple. Dr. Simone Xavier is the face of the brand, and she is a scientist by trade. And then her husband, Rene Xavier Fijo, is an engineer, and together they created this beautiful brand, Sigma. They have this cute slogan called Innovate, and they really stand behind that in their mission statement and how they run their company. It all started in 2009 with a 12-piece brush kit. Some highlights for this brand: they offer a 2-year warranty with receipt, like if you purchase directly from their website. They have many patents pending or patents received. They have now switched over to waterproof brushes in terms of their handle and the metal ferrule. And they are vegan and cruelty free. And most excitingly, just recently, they launched in physical stores like Target, and so you don't have to buy online if you want to see the brushes in person first. And you want an easy place to return these brushes if they don't end up working for you. Sigma's price point is what you call mid-tier, so it's about $2 signs, but the nice thing is they drop down to $1 sign, because you can often get these brushes on sale for 50% off and even 75% off. So right now is late July, and they have brushes for 75% off or even more, because they are running several sales for their semi-annual sale. So you should definitely check out the Sigma official website for these sales and sign up for their emails, and they'll send you all these deals. Right now, the coolest thing I've seen is they have a buy 6 brushes and get an extra 50% off the price that they list, or you end up paying only 25% of retail. For free shipping, when they are not having a sale, it is normally at $50 and they ship worldwide. But when they have holiday sales or their semi-annual sale, the free shipping is much lower at only $25, or right now for their semi-annual sale is $30. They are way beyond brushes now, so they obviously have brush cleaning and care, like brush drying racks and things like that. But they also have lips, brows, eyeshadow, lashes, lots of face powders like blushes and highlighters and contour and bronzer. And they even have these cool duo correctors and, of course, setting powder. They also used to have a sister brand that was quietly discontinued now called Practk, or Practical. Very interesting. I just know a little bit about their marketing strategy, but it's very much social media and influencer based. So you see a lot of collabs on their website and many glowing reviews on YouTube with big name makeup artists. So you have to be careful and do more research to find unbiased, unsponsored, and honest reviews, but there are some floating around YouTube. Thankfully, I'm here to give you one. I'm not a pro by any means, but I'm just a regular gal who needs brushes to do makeup, and so here are my thoughts. Let's start with Sigma's face brushes, and this is what actually made them famous: the F80 Flat Kabuki. It was an Allure winner in 2016, and they won several more awards for this brush. Some other famous face brushes that they have is the rounded F82, and there's this 3D edge brush, and then they also have a 4D edge brush, which is not shown because I don't have that one, but it's all very interesting because they quote-unquote invented it and marketed it for being a much better, cooler, more useful face brush. For their F80 flat top, it was an Allure winner in 2016, and they have several awards and patents for this brush and all their other brushes. My preference is actually the rounded F82 because it has a much better buffing surface since it's rounded and way more dense. I really love using powder foundation and setting powder and all things face powder, and so this F82 Rounded Kabuki is just much better at doing those things. The flat top is my second, and I do like taking that for travel since it is useful for powder but also liquid. Sigma used to make these like other face brushes with a different fiber, and they called them the Bunny line or Mr. and Mrs. Bunny, and I have them and they're just okay. They don't seem to perform as well as the original fiber, and they have a trademark like Sigma Tech and Sigma Fiber, and we'll talk more about that in the components of brushes that they make. Specifically, I'm looking for a good cheek brush that I haven't found because I much prefer dense cheek brushes for like bronzer and contour and being able to control how far it spreads. And I just do not like the cheek brushes that they offer here. I just maybe haven't found one that I do like. Let me know if you have a good recommendation for Sigma cheek brushes or contour brushes. I also have this duo fiber brush, and I just really dislike it because it just doesn't work well for powder, and I much prefer using a beauty blender for liquids anyways, and so it just becomes obsolete. And if you want to check out my decluttering video, you can check it out here. The price points for face brushes vary, but they're hovering around $27. Before COVID, it was around $25, and they would often have sales for $15 face brushes. So either way, you are expecting to pay about $15-ish on sale for a Sigma face brush. And if you can get it closer to like $10, I would say that's a good deal. I do feel like the Flat Kabuki and the Rounded Kabuki are solid face brushes for everyone to try at least once. Alright, so now the Sigma eye brushes. They're often overly hyped, especially by the makeup community since they love eyeshadow, and I love eyeshadow, so I bought many eye brushes, and lots of them are for blending purposes since that's all about eyeshadow. The first being the travel set that is, the 3 best-selling eye brushes that you need in your life and that is already well designed. So the first being, there's a shader and it's the brown one, and then there's the blender, which is the white fluffy one, and then the pencil, which is the small pointy one. There's some other eye brushes that I have, like fluffy benders, tiny blenders, and even a dome blender. And here's my review. I really like the travel eye set, like the flat shader in the original brown fibers. The blender is fine, and the tiny eye blender is just like weirdly useless and too small. Like, I know I have hooded eyes and I have very limited eye space. Like, I only have about 1 inch to work with, but it's so small. It would be for like really intricate, like crazy 5 to 8 eyeshadow designs, and I'm not that kind of person. I'm just more of a one and done, and this just doesn't make sense to me. I much prefer my Fude uncut goat brushes, like the original OG Holy Grail MAC 217 brush that was made in Japan using natural fiber goat. But now it's been discontinued, obviously, and everyone's sad about it. So the Sigma E25 is supposed to be the dupe for that, but it just is okay. Like, it's not bad, but it's not great. And using natural fiber just picks up powder much better, and that is almost all eyeshadow. So unless you're using creamy stick formulas, natural fiber is just going to do the job much better. So I like having this travel set for traveling purposes, but for every day, if I'm just at home, I much prefer reaching for my Fude uncut natural fiber brushes. Sigma eye brushes are around $17 each, and good news is they have sales for around $10 each, or buy one get one 50% off, and sometimes they show up in the clearance for $5 to $8. So for this price, around $10, I much rather buy Fude from Reefer, which is a new startup company that's been around for a few years now, and or by Hakuhoro, which is a Japanese brand for Fude brushes. You just cannot beat the natural fiber. Unfortunately, it takes more care for you to use them and wash them, but if you maintain it well, it is one of those things that you buy once for like 10 or 20 years, and then you replace it. You still get a lot out of this investment. But if you are a beginner, I do highly recommend trying out the Sigma Travel Eye Set that comes with 3 brushes, and if you can get them on sale, even better. Okay, so in summary, let's talk about the Sigma Rosie Report. We'll start with the roses. So what's great about this brand is that they have a ton of diversity in their styles and shapes of brushes, and you can get really overwhelmed trying to pick out brushes as a beginner or even as a well-versed makeup artist. And so they tend to make a brush for everything, and so that makes it really hard to find what you need for what you actually use it for, like me. But the great thing is they are really popular and easy to shop for, right? They are in Target now and countless other online retailers. They have really good sales with gift with purchases, and they have low free shipping thresholds. So you cannot beat that, and almost everybody ends up buying Sigma brushes sometime in their life, and they are just a really solid company. What I really love about them is they have really great R&D, and everything is well designed for a specific function. I would say mostly, with the exceptions of the brushes I'm decluttering because it just doesn't work for me and it's just too big. I also love how it's super well made with bristles, waterproof handles, and nice furrows. So I'll talk more about the brush components right now. Sigma has this really big brag about their brush components. So for fibers, they use exclusive, ultra soft, vegan, hypoallergenic, and minimize product absorption. They call it Sigma Tech and Sigma Max fibers, and this exclusive filament developed with thermoplastic engineered polymer features very thin fibers. So what these fibers actually are is a special type of plastic that is extruded with the heat process. And so the fibers are really soft, but it all depends on how they are bundled and what you're using this brush for. So even though they are well made with well-made fibers, it might still not work for what you want it to do. So for example, the angled cheek brush that I hate is just way too floppy and way too big, because I prefer a dense cheek brush for controlling where my bronzer and contour and all that go. And so it might work for some people, but it might not work for other people like me. The metal furrow is called Sigma Alloy, which is a combination of copper and zinc, which has corrosion and wear resistance. It is then plated in chrome or copper or gold for lifelong shine. And other brushes are usually made with aluminum furrows. And so aluminum is a super soft metal, and because Sigma uses a copper and zinc alloy, then in theory it's harder and actually is resistant to wear and tear. So that's a great thing. So Sigma brushes back in the day was made with real wood and 8 layers of paint, but they are actually now plastic, and you can really feel the weight difference. And they are able to give their brushes this waterproof label because the handles are now plastic. And so that's great. But if you love the weighty wood feel, then that's not great. But also, why do you need a wooden handle? Just for the weight? Or do you actually love the waterproof feature more? All Sigma brushes are made in China, but specially designed in the USA. And nevertheless, they have many patents, exclusive fibers, and real thought behind their products. And so I really love that for this brand. So wrapping up, let's talk about the Rosie Report Thorns. So it does seem really expensive for what it is, which is synthetic vegan brushes. And you know, as I just said, or if you want to experience it for yourself, they do not work as well as natural fiber brushes when you are doing eyeshadow and you're using a lot of powder. They were really lacking a good contour brush, or I just haven't been exposed to a good contour brush, or they just haven't invented it yet. And lastly, their website is just straight up terrible. There are no brush measurements or some sort of scale to know how big these brushes are before you buy them. And only the best-selling brushes have video demos, and so you don't even have a face to reference, like, is this the right eye brush for you? They also do not do any sort of labeling or descriptions to tell you, like, this is for, you know, hooded eyes, or this is for eyes with very limited eye space, or this is great if you're doing this type of look kind of thing. And they don't really give you recommendations for other good brushes, you know, like if the whole point is to get you to shop and buy more, then they should make it easier for the shopper to buy more. And they just don't. They make it really hard to shop. You have to already know what you're gonna buy, or you're just like blind buying a bunch of brushes. So final thoughts on Sigma. It is a really popular brand and I love that, and they have really great research and development and collaborations. They like to stay on the forefront of trends and eyeshadow techniques, and you can really see that reflected in their brushes. It is really lovely to see them branching out beyond brushes and adding into the makeup category. However, it does seem a bit saturated, so they have a lot of competition. I love the company mission and the founder stories, and I really hope to see new favorites, and I probably will stay up to date on their new product launches, but unfortunately the price point just seems too steep to pay for synthetic brushes, and I much prefer Fude brushes for a few dollars more. I do think their face brushes are some of the best in the industry for this price point, but I wouldn't recommend these for beginners due to the price. If you had a much bigger budget and you can splurge, it is great to get a set when they have sales. For example, this iconic brush set I was able to get half off because I'm part of their email list. But for beginner brushes and Sigma dupes, you can check out my other videos for like what's the best beginner toolkit that you should invest in. Otherwise, there are much better options, like for your face, you should just get a beauty blender. You don't need 5 different brushes. You just need a beauty blender and maybe like 2 face brushes. And for your eyes, you really just need like 3 brushes to start with, and 2 of them are repeats. I look forward to seeing what you guys are curious about next, but I hope you check out these other videos, and I'll see you guys in the next curiosity. Bye!